This is FRQ Prep number 2, and in this one we're given no graph, but it says Steve Rail, the only provider of train service between two cities, is currently experiencing losses. Using a correctly labeled graph, show each of the following: their loss minimizing price and quantity, PM, QM, area of loss shaded, allocative efficient quantity, QE. So right off the bat, we have to figure out what kind of market should we be drawing here, and if it tells us, hey, they're the only provider, then we know it's a monopoly. Now, this one we could draw in two different ways. We could draw it as an artificial monopoly, or we could draw it as a natural monopoly. And it really doesn't matter which of the two that we end up drawing. At this point, all of the stuff will kind of end up being the same. So I'm just going to choose, and I'm going to draw it as a natural monopoly. How about that? Natural monopoly. So we need downward sloping demand either way that's equal to the price. We need a marginal revenue curve. And then we're going to say marginal cost, which we know is the supply curve. And we'll say we have this kind of nice downward sloping ATC, natural monopoly. Now, it says, oh, you know what? I already drew it wrong. It says that they're earning a loss, so I screwed up in where I put my ATC. So I gotta redraw this bad boy. Oh, that's not good. That makes me look silly. So I'm not going to edit that out, though, so that way you can actually see I still made mistakes. So demand equals the price. Try again, Daniel. Marginal revenue, and we're going to say marginal cost equals the supply curve. But if the firm is earning a loss, I have to draw my ATC way up here. ATC goes up here. At the quantity where MR equals MC. So the quantity they're producing is QM, and that's, again, up here, loss minimizing quantity and price. And the price that they're going to charge is on the demand curve. So that's PM. Okay, PM. And then it says area of loss, shaded completely. So we'll do that next. The loss would go from the price up to the ATC. And we're going to shade that completely, right? Shaded completely. We'll do our best here with a pen. Okay. And then it says allocatively efficient quantity labeled QE. So allocative efficiency, right? This is going to show up on the test, is where supply and demand intersect, or price equals marginal cost. So this is QE. Okay. Part B. If they raise the price above PM, would total revenue increase, decrease, or not change? Explain. Oh, I like this question. This is a good one. So let's say they raise the price. What will happen to total revenue? Now, if you remember, we had a total revenue test where if price and total revenue are going up, and they're both going up together, you're in the inelastic range. If price goes down and total revenue goes down, you're in the inelastic range. If price goes up but total revenue goes down, price goes up, total revenue goes down, you're in the elastic range. And likewise, if you lower the price and total revenue goes up, you're in the elastic range. Now, it may not seem at first glance that this is 100% easy to do, but it tells us if they raise the price, so price goes up, what will happen to total revenue? Now, the third part of that is we have to know what range we're in. What range of the demand curve are we operating in? Well, marginal revenue is going to be our key here. Where that point is the unit elastic, right? And everything over here is the elastic, and everything this way is the inelastic. Inelastic. So, what range are we in if they raise the price above PM? That means they go from PM on the demand curve up. Well, either way, you're starting in the elastic, and you're even more elastic. You're going up the demand curve to more elastic. And so we know we're in the elastic range, so total revenue has to be going down. So the correct answer, right, can just be total revenue goes down because you're in the elastic range. because elastic. You could have also said because marginal revenue is greater than 0. Both of those are acceptable reasons for why total revenue would, not increase, but decrease. Because when you raise the price, the total revenue should decrease because you're in the elastic range. Assume a per unit subsidy is provided to Steve Rail. Will Steve Rail's quantity increase, decrease, or not change? Explain. And then will consumer surplus increase, decrease, or not change? Okay. So if they provided a per unit subsidy, that's going to change one of the curves on this graph. Now, we are going to change the cost of producing a unit, the marginal cost. And what we're actually going to do is make it cheaper to produce it. So that would shift that curve down. Now, this doesn't want us to draw it on here, but we're going to go ahead and draw it. Maybe for your purposes, it might be better just to draw it off to the side, because you don't want to, when you're taking the AP test, you don't want to add more to the graph if they don't tell you to. So marginal revenue, and then this is the marginal cost, and that just lowers the marginal cost. Right? It lowers the cost of doing business. So we used to be at MR equals MC here, and now we're here. So what happened to the quantity? Well, it went up. The quantity went up because the marginal cost fell. So you can say Q increase because marginal cost decreased. So new MR equals MC. Will consumer surplus increase, decrease, or not change? Well, consumer surplus is just the distance from the price to the demand curve. So they used to be here, right? They used to be here at PM. Now they are here. So the price falls. So if the price fell, the consumer surplus used to be this big, and now it includes all this other stuff. Well, that's bigger. That's a bigger area. So we could say it would increase. And the explanation can just be because the price falls and the quantity rises. Now assume instead that a lump sum subsidy is provided to Steve Rail. If for the short run, answer the following. Will deadweight loss increase, decrease, or not change? Explain. Will Steve Rail's economic losses increase, decrease, or not change? So if they give a lump sum subsidy, that's not going to change any of these curves. It's not going to move any of the curves because it doesn't change on a per unit basis. So in the short run, this picture will still predominate. You're not going to change the quantity, so there shouldn't be any change to deadweight loss. So no change because no change to the quantity. Now, economic losses increase, decrease, or not change. Well, if they're given a lump sum subsidy, that means they're given more money. So this loss box is going to get smaller. They're going to have a decrease in losses. So they get a little bit more money, but it doesn't change the amount of output. So this is kind of a tricky question, but a good question, and I hope I've helped you understand it a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.